Brian Nolan, welcome back
Good
to
morning.
Out of the Hourglass.
Good morning.
Gosh, where you been? It's like months
Well,
since we
really?
last heard your voice on here.
Yeah, I've been traveling. I've been a few places, having fun, enjoying the summer, working hard.
Well, the rest of us are just
Stop it.
getting the
Well,
things
that's what it's
done
all
here
about,
at Nolan
right?
Consulting Group.
Build a business that you can step away and have your kids do all the work, right?
Yes. Well, I'm glad that I could, find a time to get you in the studio here, just so that people can know that you're still part of it, part of the company.
I'm still here, baby, especially this time of year.
This is an important time of year. This is our annual reminder, you guys, that we have to think about planning. I know a lot of you are listening to this and being like, Molly, it's September 3rd, or if you're listening to this in mid-September, and how can we possibly start thinking about 2026? This is why we are here, to help you start to get those wheels turning, in a sense. Brian, why do we need to even start thinking about 2026 in September?
Well, I'll go way back and start with my first planning job in 1990. I was a planning and development analyst, and I went to a workshop with my boss, and the first words that the teacher said was, strategic planning is about making decisions today about future assumptions. So making decisions today about the future. I always ask myself, am I working on the right things? How am I spending my hours and time? And so I say, we're fighting a battle today, but who's looking down the road? I say to myself, winter's 3 months away. Am I prepared for this winter? How will it be better than next winter? I better start to do it now. When the yellow jackets are getting angry and the leaves are starting to turn, which I've seen a couple leaves out there turning, it's time to get ahead of it. And that's why we're doing it now, so we're not in it.
We're about to experience what they call fake fall here in the Northeast.
Is that what they call it?
We're experiencing a week of cool weather, but summer's not quite over quite yet. But that should be a good trigger that fall is literally around the corner. And it's so fair to say, are we spending the right time doing the things right now? A lot of us have been head down, no matter what business you were in. Even if it's in the summer, maybe summer's been a little bit lighter. Now you're diving back into it come the fall, school's returning. But are we focusing on the right thing? And especially as we're thinking about what we want next year. Let's talk a little bit about kind of planning in our world, things that we're doing with clients. You already have several client planning visits on the calendar. You're pretty much booked up. Are you proud of your clients who have already gotten this on the schedule?
Yeah, I've been working with a lot of the same guys for 20 years now. Josh Abramson, Matt Jesse, MB Jesse, Pete DiStefano, Tim Fitzpatrick. I've all got these businesses on my planning calendar to spend a couple days with them. I want to go back to what you asked earlier. So if we don't start doing it soon, we're not going to learn the lessons from last year to be able to apply forward. All of a sudden we'll be in it and go, crap, we don't have the leads, the revenue's not there. But if we can get ahead of it and really incorporate what we learn now, then next year will be different. So yeah, I generally hit the West Coast and then back to the East Coast and have 2.5 day planning sessions. I say 2.5 days because it always includes a dinner the night before to get the team ready and primed and in a strategic mindset.
Is it safe to say that a lot of these companies that you're doing these planning visits with or these planning retreats with have come a long way in their own planning activities?
Yeah, I've got guys, a lot of them have become my buddies, right? And so they wouldn't dream of missing this planning session. It guides them for the whole year. It brings their team together on the same page. Probably nothing gets them out of the hourglass more than this, because now they have other people in this planning session who are thinking, worried, involved, taking ownership, accountability. If you don't have this planning session, then a lot of times the owner is the only one that is worried and thinking and doing things. So and we've done it in some great places.
That doesn't hurt.
Matt Jesse never disappoints. And last year, Josh Abramson, we did it in his Malibu home, which was really nice. So then we walk the beach during lunch and we do some thinking. So it's fun.
Well, what I'm hearing is it's nice to get out of the office, get out of kind of the confines of the walls of the everyday. And so maybe, we don't have Malibu here in Philadelphia, but even just getting outside of our four walls, we have our planning session happening next week. So when this comes out, we'll be doing our planning in 2 days. We're doing it actually at your house. We're doing it outside.
I have a pond pond, so there'll be a little waterfall there. It'll be outside, and where we're not disrupted by the pulls of maybe a dopamine, a rush to go see my emails and check things and various things. It needs to need a completely different setting, I believe, to be able to pull up and, see the battlefield.
Yeah.
See what's going on, see where we want to, here's where we've been. Let's take a deep breath. Where are we going? One of my things that I think about a lot is, am I working on the right things? Is my team all in sync, working on the right things? Does my team feel directed? And this is an opportunity to pause, reflect on what you've been doing, and really it's a reset.
So I know you're also heading up in later September up to Massachusetts to visit with Northern Lights, another longtime client of ours.
That's coming
soon, which is great. They're ahead of the game. You were just saying yesterday you were working on sending them some preparation documents. What does the preparation look like, especially when you as a facilitator are involved? And if you're not involved, if they don't have a facilitator, which that's okay, what are the things that need to happen prior to the day?
Well, this is really important because I need some pre-think and pre-work to make our time wise. So I'm first talking with Mike Traub, CEO, and having Mike rework the vision. So, Mike's a guy my age, and so, the team is wondering in 3 years what's going on. Mike has sons coming into business. So literally writing down that vision, okay? And then I want the planning team to fill out a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, based upon that vision.
Okay.
So if that's where we're going, what are our strengths to get there? What are our weaknesses that if we don't fix, we're not going to get there? What threats can come, opportunities to go after? So I'm going to have them do that, and then I'm going to have them do it's a multi-voting exercise where we end up picking 5 to 8 most important, what we call now PDIs, planning discussion items. I want to get the planning items thought about before we sit down. And then I want to assign an owner to each PDI from the team to come prepared to share the data, the history, the situation, the problems with that current PDI. I want the team to put some thought into the organizational structure next year, the year after, and the year after. This is sort of one of my newer focuses is to design an organizational model several years out, so we're not always feeling like, oh no, we need to hire this role, and we're like plugging holes in a dike to get the work done. So let's plan. If the revenue is going to be this, what leaders do we need, what roles? So I want them to do that. Yeah, so there's a fair amount of pre-work to make it work.
And are they prepared for that? Are they ready to take that pre-work on?
Yeah, so I'll have a couple calls first with them. We talk about it. And then I ended up talking to the CEO to make sure that PDIs that we're picking are the ones that he or she really wants to pick,
Fair.
Yeah.
And then you've got time associated to all those PDIs. The agenda then becomes very specific.
Yeah, so each PDI is 45 minutes long.
Okay.
Give or take, and I work them through a process where the last 15 minutes we're trying to go what we call so what, now what, so what. We just had this discussion, now what are we going to turn this into? And if it's all done right, it's like a funnel where the end of the funnel are the rocks. The big rocks become focus, which is going to drive us towards the vision. I think that I think of a vision as B. We're at A, the vision is B. So we always start these planning sessions with a vision. So I want people to feel what it's going to be like in 3 years. I want them to look down on their business in 3 years. And then we illuminate the pathway back and say, okay, these are the things now we need to do to get us towards that vision. And so the work then breaks down into 90-day segments of the big rocks in 90 days. No one has probably done this better than Lancaster Painting and our very own Steve Talkington. 90-day plan. He breaks things down, and he's an assassin in terms of getting things done and his focus on that.
So is it safe to say all the things that you're working on now for Northern Lights, you'll be following a similar process as you prep for Fitzpatrick, Albright, and Jesse DiStefano?
I've been doing this so long now that I've got a pretty good cadence, and I've adjusted each year at times to to know what worked and what didn't work. Like now I know that pre-work is so important. When I can have, for instance, a sales manager be a part of a planning day, and that sales manager has put serious work behind the issues, the data, everything involved in this discussion. A lot of the work is done beforehand, and we just need to then formalize it, you know? So I don't just want this to be like a philosophical discussion. I want this to be an action-oriented, direction-oriented, intentional focus for what our business is. And if everybody comes ready for that, so I literally follow the same. It always includes some playtime.
Of course.
It must.
Yeah.
I don't like planning after 2:00 in the afternoon because you actually have diminishing returns. People have lunch, a very short, burst up after lunch, short, and then all of a sudden you can feel the room deflate.
Everyone's ready for their nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll take 3 hours and then meet up again at 5 for a cocktail or so and have discussions on, takeaways. During playtime, amazing things happen because the discussions of the morning tend to bubble up, and in a less intense creative environment.
Especially if people are excited about things like the opportunity and how can we make this work, and the decisions maybe have started to be made, and they're now thinking about the how, right? Like how are we actually going to do this?
Yep, exactly. I can tell you like the number of times on a hike when I'm just talking with someone, part of the team, and it all of a sudden evolves. And then when we meet up again at 5, I'll say, hey, Jim, can you share what we just talked about? That was amazing, and I think that would make this work. Then the energy regions up again. It goes into dinner, and during dinner, we're saying, what if we could do this? And so then we come the next day, and we've already ruminated on where we're going, and now we just need to sort of firm it up, which is the hard part.
Yeah, that is the hard part. So we're doing also some of these things our own self, because as I mentioned, we have our planning session coming up towards the end of next week. And so we've voted on some PDIs, or we've talked about the PDIs. You and Catherine are meeting this week to review what those are going to be. The agenda is being kind of formulated. We're getting the larger team involved later in the day. What are some thoughts you have about going into next week?
I will tell you, this planning session for our company is the most different of any planning session that I've had. Succession planning is a major focus item here. I'm working with you and Colin on the vision. So the vision now becomes co-written when you get to be our age. And, we're building a legacy business that I never thought, when I started this in 2004, I never imagined that 2 of my adult kids were going to be amazing leaders.
Well, I was just safe to say we didn't either. We knew we would be amazing leaders in our own right, but that we would both be involved with you in this business is shocking.
It's shocking, and actually something happened the last year, and I'm on the other side of it. I was in, and now I'm being vulnerable because I like to add some vulnerability here for authenticity. I've had a rough year from this standpoint because I'm at a point where I have to now leave a business that can be left to my adult kids and other people here. I never thought about that piece before. I thought about just growing a business that would fulfill me and my family in terms of income, and it somehow became much bigger than that in the process. And now I feel both responsible, but I also have to emotionally let go of a lot. I need to let you guys make key decisions. I've dealt with a lot of emotions, like I'm sure a lot of other leaders out there in their late 50s, 60s, where the business became such a part of you that it began to define you. And so I'm trying to unwind that piece now and find new passions. And fortunately, I have new passions in, a private non-profit work, which has really been so personally fulfilling for me. So this planning session is going to be around really the future where I start to step out. Now, don't get any ideas that I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm 62. I literally love what I do. What I love most is practicing coaching. So I will coach until I'm 70. That's the current plan, God willing. But
I could personally see you just holding on to a client or two into your early 70s.
Yeah.
You build.
Let John McFarlane go.
Yeah.
He's my buddy.
Those are relationships that have been built.
Yeah, and all these guys that I work with. But safe to say, in 3 to 4 years, there'll be some leadership changes where likely a new CEO. Not yet, but there will be. So that's why this planning session, I need to take a step back a little bit and make sure the voices of the next generation more prominent than mine. I will have to bite my lip. I will have to debate less. I will have to ask more. I will have to sort of coach and encourage the new thinking. And there is new thinking, you know? I mean, you and Kyle think differently than me. Some things are better, actually.
Guys, we got that on tape. He said some things were better. No, but it's also fair to say that there's been a lot of work put in to get to this point. We're not just showing up to this planning meeting, thinking about next year and the future with kind of without intention.
Yeah.
Like we've had a lot of conversations. We've had other people involved. There's been emotions involved, but it's gotten us, I think, to a healthier point where we're now like the uncomfortable is in the room and we're figuring out how to work through that.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's getting to that point and being able to acknowledge it, I think is huge. I feel like that's a point where a lot of things break in a lot of environments.
Yeah. I don't want to say I've arrived at a better place, but I can tell you that over the last year, my mindset has changed dramatically about the business and ready to let you guys take the reins. Ready. Like I wasn't ready. Like I'm ready. Now it's sort of fun to ride alongside you guys, not just be the one that's, always driving. I can let you guys drive a little bit.
Well, as Shayla Stewart also said, I mean, we don't have a board in place yet, but those are also, as Colin and I are kind of growing into those leadership roles and those decisions are going to fall more on our shoulders, it will be nice to have your input still, and should we create a board, have some committee input, because this is a legacy business that, we're going on 21 plus years. We don't want to blow it in the first year.
No. So that subject of a board, I think is important just to hit briefly. I do plan on having a board of directors in place in the next year. So mark my words there, and asking Sheldon Stewart to be a part of that, because I've watched him develop it in his business. But I've made a lot of mistakes that I hope that myself and the board can help you guys navigate the next generation, while at the same time making sure I'm open to where innovation is taking us.
Yep.
And new places.
What's pretty cool is that you are kind of riding on the same kind of bus as several of our clients are. Clients who you began working with when they were in their 30s or early 40s, and now as you are structuring your succession plan, you're helping them do the same. You're talking about creating a board, teaching them how to create a board. It so much speaks back to when we talk about things on this podcast here. We're not just preaching. We are living it right in step with so many of you, and so it feels like we're just sharing our experience at the end of the day.
It's so real. I mean, the family business issues that we deal with are so real. Pathway to shareholdership, how stock is going to get from me to you guys. A lot of other companies are thinking about this, whether it's to their kids or an employee or to an outside sale. If it's to their kids, how much is gifted, how much is sold. There's putting GMs in place. We're riding this, and I think what I've learned is a lot of the next generation is looking for the leading generation to be clearer, to make sure that we're sharing. And I learned like this past year that I guess I wasn't as clear. So I'm working with a coach now. Yep, the coach is being coached, and I'm writing something out. Then I have a second coach who's a financial genius in terms of trusts and things like that, and where to put stock that I'm working with, which is great because then I'll be able to pass this on to my clients. That's why this planning session is so different. Yeah. No longer is it 2004, and I can look ahead and have a long-term vision and say, I want 100 clients in 10 years. Yeah. And now it's like, in 10 years, hopefully I'm in Boca Raton or somewhere. And I'm fishing.
Right. I mean, that's also a great vision to have.
It is.
I mean, so often I feel like folks in my in my age, I'm in my mid-30s, we're like, that retirement life looks so good. But it's because like a lot of folks have set themselves up well into their retirement, and they're having fun, and they're taking care of themselves younger at earlier ages, so that they can embrace that time of life.
But I will say this, though. You can develop the lifestyle you want while working in your business. I mean, talk to business owners. Most of them will say the best part about business ownership is autonomy, is the ability to make your own schedule, ability to go away when you can. And so this whole concept that we teach of getting out of the hourglass is about building a team in place so that you can retire in place or rewire in place.
Yeah.
And live like I was in Ireland last week. Next year I have a lot of trips planned with Ag, but I'll be working open shop, closing shop, so it's how can you develop that right way?
What we look to do here is to help entrepreneurs kind of create that lifestyle that they desire.
Exactly. And it's so back to where we started.
Enough about us.
If you don't plan,
you don't get there.
Yeah, those who don't plan to fail.
So let's get back into like the meat of the planning. Thank you all for letting us walk down that little road into our world. What are some non-negotiables for you when it comes to a planning session?
Some non-negotiables: having the right team in place. Really want to make sure we've got thinkers. So
like in the room.
Yeah. Who's on your team, and are they thinking strategically? You can even do strategic warm-up sessions, right, to get the mindset. The pre-think is on the planning items, non-negotiable. Having a vision set, because how can we plan what we want to do if we don't know where we're going? And I want some team building as a part of this. I want it to be fun. I want it to create energy and creativity. I also don't want naysayers. You really need to discuss what ifs. I want open minds in this thing. And then we'll get to the hows. So, and then away from it all, out of the office would be a pretty key to do that.
I imagine you've been in those rooms where the naysayers exist, where the integrators are panicking already. You can see the faces like, how are we possibly going to do this? But then on the other side, you've got probably people who are dreaming so big, and you're maybe like, that's a cool idea, but this might be unrealistic for what this company can achieve in the next year or two. How do you balance those two sides?
I think the leader has to set context. I think the leader has to say, hey, can we just socialize this? Because see, the integrators in the room, they want to immediately, and they think they have to immediately begin to get things done. Like, how am I going to do this? Mm-hmm. But what a leader wants to do is say, hey, let's just brainstorm, just dream with me here. It's just a dreaming session. What if? I think that's a balance that's really important. So we're not getting to, no action items here. Let's just, talk. And then when we get to the so what, now what, you're allowed to say, don't tell me we can't do it. Tell me what we need to do it. Tell me what resources we would need to do it. I'll decide as a leader if I'm going to invest more money or those type things. Because sometimes someone can sit there and they're in their box of how things can get done with the resources that they have.
Yeah.
And so need to break the box.
Are you anticipating like companies to think about going into 2026? Are you, based upon what you know now, what clients are talking about, are folks making dramatic changes to org structures, pricing increases? What are some things you're expecting to hit those PDIs?
The first thing I'm expecting to get is resistance towards planning, because we don't know. We don't know what tariffs are going to happen. We don't know. And so a lot of people will use that as a reason not to plan. Those of you who know me know that I'm a plan A and a plan B person. I want to plan to win. I want to prepare to fail. If we fail, I want to get an A in failing, which means if the work's not there, if the world shuts down, things like that, I want to be ready. I want to have a plan B. I don't want to become a deer in headlights. I don't want anxiety to overtake my ability to think. Remember, this is a game. Yeah. Business is a game that we play to serve our life. And so if I'm too emotional in the game, like as a kid, I throw the dice back on. I quit. Yeah. do-over, you
Yeah.
cheated. That doesn't work. So I'm preparing for that a little bit. But what I want to do is I want to prepare for organizational growth. I want to prepare most the leaders people are going to put in place. That's what I want to prepare more, because any hard time, you need your generals. Yeah. And so I'm hoping that the planning sessions that happen, the leader is going to really evolve their people to be able to handle whatever's thrown their way.
Build your generals team.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about what the typical planning meeting looks like, but just really quickly kind of lay out the kind of a high overview of the agenda, how the day goes.
Yeah, day one and day two are really, really different. Day one is ground rules, looking at current year. The vision is shared. We go back over the values, because the values drive culture. Day one, we're looking at the organizational charts on either, the flip charts in the wall for year one, year two, year three. Day one, we're reviewing our pre-work SWOT to make sure that there's nothing new. Day one, we're looking at the budget and creating a next year's budget and tweaking it, looking at last year and this year. And then we are literally teeing up our PDIs, discussion items. And day two is really, we start the PDIs, but day two is all about the deeper dive. Okay. And then the ultimate big rocks and charters for those big rocks, where the big rocks are detailed out.
So the goal in kind of leaving these planning sessions is that the company or the team has identified those 3 to 5 big rocks that are going to become on tap for next year. You've identified who the big rock owners are, because those people will be the ones to create the charters. So is that what we're looking to leave with? Yeah,
and this is one of the notes you had was what's the biggest mistake people make?
Yeah.
So the biggest mistake is they have a discussion on a PDI and we got the answer, and they say it, and that's what we're going to work on. But everybody leaves a room with a little different opinion of what the scope of that work is. And so the hardest part of the whole planning retreat is the last 2 or 3 hours, where each rock is sort of blown up with respect to the scope of it, the resources, who's going to lead it, the steps involved. And that's really what you want to leave with, where everybody it's a same page session with what done looks like in each rock, how the world is different. Remember, the big rocks move you towards your vision. And so when they're done, a big rock is something you start and you finish. So training is not a rock. Training should become a function. Developing an apprenticeship training program and videos is a rock, because it means that it's done and it's moving you closer towards your vision. So what does done look like in each rock? Everybody listening, make sure you don't leave a planning session without clarity over what done looks like. And say something like, Molly, can you tell me what you heard? I want to make sure that I was clear on what that rock is. And then everybody leaves there and we got it. I want you to internalize the rock. I would say, I want the initiatives to run through your pulse, where it drives your behavior. And remember, it's a big rock for a purpose. It means that it's the most important stuff you can do. It's not the ancillary stuff. It's the work of the work.
And then a reminder, those big rocks are then revisited with status updates at future OTB meetings, OTB meeting on the business. So it's not just made the rock, someone's got it, and we clap our hands and we move on. It continues to be hit upon in future meetings.
It does. And then each quarter refined. So you set the rocks. And sometimes they're an annual rock, breaking up into pieces. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a rock that can be done in a quarter. Let the rock determine that. Let what done looks like determine that, and the resources that you put towards it.
What are you most looking forward to? What excites you the most about these upcoming site visits?
For me, because I'm a high I really enjoy the people.
Yeah.
Northern Lights, Stephanie, Dan, and Mike, DeStefano, his whole team's amazing. Josh's team's amazing. I've gotten to know them. Matt Jesse, his team, Matt, and so this guy's been there a long time. Vicente, I don't know if you know him. Vicente is Matt's general manager in training, and
you should get Vicente on a podcast.
I don't know that there's anybody. So Vicente, I hope you're listening to this. I don't know if there's anybody that's come further that I've seen come further than you over the last, I'm going to say 17, 18 years.
Wow.
Really, I've seen him as probably crew leader to field supervisor to operations manager now. Now Catherine is training him to be a GM.
Wow.
So it's been a great story about also how Nolan Consulting can help down below and train the next level with various training programs, which is going to free Matt up. So I really look forward to the people part and the great dinners. I always get a really great ribeye at these places. And
sends photos back. Look at this delicious ribeye.
But I love to get the whole team dialed in. When I leave there, everybody's clear. Like that is so great. Because then the next year for me, frankly, becomes so much easier. Because everybody's working on the same
wires
thing.
crossed. Everyone's aware what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, we are just clearly entering planning season here at Nolan Consulting Group. For a lot of, for our clients, the 2026 financial workbook and the budget questionnaire will be made available in the next about 2 weeks here. They're about ready. We're just making some final tweaks. Your CPC dashboard, we are also reworking those for 2026. Those will be dropped into your workspace in the month of October. And your coaches will be talking to you about getting those planning functions in place. Clients, if you want a site visit or a planning visit with your coach, this is the time to lock it in. As we see, Brian's already pretty much booked up. But Colin and Eamon and Catherine and Steve, they're all working the plan and all working with their clients to make the 2026 a good year. Any final thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this podcast this morning, I just finished reading email and I get a daily reflection, and this one came up, and I thought it was probably a good way to end the podcast. Whether you're 16 or 60, the rest of your life is ahead of you. You cannot change one moment of the past, but you can change your whole future. Now is the time. There it is, Ma.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I'll say until next time, happy planning.
Thank you.